Hello, everyone. My name is Maurice Ouimet. I'm the Dean of Enrollment here at Castleton University. I'm happy to share this short presentation with you regarding what students and families should know about Castleton's portal, electronic billing, and other web services. There's a lot of information in this presentation. I always like to preface this by saying, please know that all of the information that exists in the following slides is on the Castleton University website. You're able to access it all 24/7. Many of the elements we'll be discussing in this presentation are available for you to download and print if you still like to have something tangible in front of you for instruction purposes. But the point of this presentation is just to kind of give you a general overview of what's available to you as a student. And students, we also realize that many of you are being supported by your family, your spouse, and other support folks that you will likely want to share some of this information with throughout your time at Castleton. So we're going to explore different ways for you to be able to share some of that access with your designees. So we will get started and move along here. So I want to give you a brief overview of just what's available in the portal. At this point in the process, many of you have interacted with our portal pretty significantly, I would guess. As an applicant to Castleton University, whether you were a first-year student, a transfer student, or a graduate student, you had the opportunity to interact with our applicant portal environment, where you were checking the status of your application, seeing what materials had been submitted and what were still needed. You were able to track your decision, see your initial merit scholarship awards, and sign up for events. And now that you're registered for classes, you'll be transitioning to an actual Castleton student role within our portal. So again, many of you may have interacted with the portal already as a financial aid applicant. Over 80% of our students, again, first-year transfer and graduate students, are applying for aid. So if you did fill out a FAFSA, and receive a notification that you had a financial aid award for viewing in the portal, you've already logged in. So we're going to give a brief overview of just what's available in the portal right now. So these are the following list of things you can find 24/7 in your Castleton portal. Your grades, both midterm and final grades. We don't mail anything home anymore, so everything is available on this portal as they come in. So at the end of the semester, as your professors submit your grades, you will be able to see them in real time within the portal. First-year students, we have several check-ins during the first semester, where you may have 6-week grade reports, you may have midterm grade reports, and you will be able to log into the portal to check on those as well. Your schedules, you can print your schedule if you want from the portal. However, you can check it again 24/7 in this environment. If there's any updates that you make to your schedule, add, drop, you will see those changes reflected immediately in your schedule in the portal. You can also access your transcripts. So most of you as students won't need official transcripts. Official transcripts are typically for after graduation when you're applying to graduate school or applying to other graduate programs, or you're applying for a job and you need an official document from the university with your transcript of courses. You can access your unofficial transcript at any time in the portal. So, and there's no payment, there's no fee associated with that. When you do need official transcripts sent places, there's a small fee associated with that. But again, that wouldn't be something you would be doing until you're likely close to graduation or shortly thereafter. Your enrollment verification process is important because as university students, you may need to prove to a third party that you're enrolled as a student, whether it be full-time or part-time. You'll be able to access enrollment verifications in this portal environment to prove that you are in fact a Castleton University student. And sometimes this can be helpful regarding insurance, whether it's car insurance, whether it's health insurance, whether it's providing proof for one of your parents' employers. There's a variety of reasons why you need to provide proof of enrollment, and these verifications can be done here. The next three things I've highlighted yellow because they're really the key takeaways from this presentation. If nothing else, what you get from this presentation, program evaluations are super important. They're super important for any type of student. So whether you're a first-year student coming right out of high school to Castleton, whether you're a transfer student who's attended one or more institutions in your past, or as a graduate student where you may be looking to transfer in graduate credits from a previous institution into your current program. Your program evaluation is where you're going to go to make sure you received credit where credit is due. So as you have all your official transcripts sent to Castleton University, the registrar's office will compile all the credits that you've earned and place them into the grid so that you will see where you've received credit for them. So that could be a variety of things. For high school students coming right in, you may have taken an AP course, or you may have taken an IB course in high school. If that's the case, you're going to want to make sure you've had your official test scores sent to us. It's simply not enough to have them listed on your high school transcript as courses that you've taken. If you want to receive credit for those, advanced standing at the university, you need to have your official test scores sent to us from the College Board or from International Baccalaureate Program. You do have to have a minimum of a 3 or higher on the official test to receive credit in those disciplines. Many high school students take advantage of dual enrollment programs now too and take college level courses while they're still in high school. If that's the case, we'll need you to send an official transcript from the institution that awarded you those credits. So again, it's simply not enough to see on your high school transcript that you've taken X course at such and such community college or at such and such university through your high school. You need to have the institution that awarded you those credits send us the form, and you will receive credit in advanced standing where due. The other area for transfer students specifically is to make sure that we have your most current transcript, because many of you started the application process to Castleton while you still had a semester in progress, and we may have received, for example, your fall 2019 grades, but we may not have received your spring 2020 grades. So it's important to go into your program evaluation and make sure that we have all of the courses that you've taken and that they've been reviewed and appropriately put into your degree plan, okay? And for graduate students, it's important to make sure that if you are transferring credits into your program here, that they're reflected there through the official transcript review process. So your program evaluation is going to basically show everything that you've accomplished outside of Castleton, and then as you fulfill requirements towards your degree, the completion of your degree, you will see the roadmap that's ahead of you based on when you fulfill these requirements. So that's available in this portal, and it's really important to get comfortable with that and check that frequently, especially as a new student, to make sure you have all of your credits, because credits are time. They save you time and they save you money and get you that much closer to your degree. So it's unfortunate that every year some students don't take the time to review that, and they're missing out on coursework that they worked hard to achieve in high school that they never get credit for. So please take the time to review the program evaluation. If you have questions, if you feel something is missing, you can contact the admissions office to make sure those official transcripts have been processed. In some cases, they may not have arrived yet, especially in the COVID-19 environment. Some colleges and universities may be a little slower in getting out those materials. So it's important to make sure that you follow up with them to make sure those transcripts have arrived. The next item that's highlighted yellow is the FERPA authorization form. Some of you may be familiar with this if you're a transfer student or a graduate student, but first year students, this is typically a big change from the environment that you're used to in high school. FERPA is a federal law that protects your academic record. So unlike high school, where your parents could ask questions and intervene on your behalf regarding anything, when you become a college student, your record is protected and only you have access to that. So it's important to know that if you want to be able to share information, if you want the university officials in Castleton community to be able to share information about you, you need to make sure that you do this FERPA release form as soon as possible. And as a registered student, you will have access to do that. It's very simple to do, and on a couple slides from now, there'll be instructions, and as I referenced earlier, you'll be able to print those, review them at your own leisure. But it's very simple. Students, you go in, you do the release form, you put in a code, and you'll share that code with your family, anyone that's going to be acting on your behalf, inquiring on your behalf. This includes asking questions about student billing. It includes asking questions about financial aid, student life matters. If we don't have a FERPA release form done, we're not going to be able to speak to anyone on your behalf. And trust me, as a parent of a college student right now, nothing frustrates me more than not being able to do that. So have the conversation. Parents who are watching this, please talk to your students and encourage them if that's important to your family to have them do this right away. They do it one time and it's done. They don't need to repeatedly do this throughout their time at Castleton. Transfer students and graduate students, you may have done this in the past, but you do need to do it again for Castleton University because, again, it's specific to the institution that you're currently attending. Health insurance selection and waiver is another key takeaway from this presentation. All students are required to have health insurance. And we realize that many of you have health insurance through your families, through your own employer, for a variety of sources. Many of our students already have health insurance. So it's important, if you fit that category, that you go into the portal and you fill out the health insurance waiver form, and you put in your policy number and you hit submit, and that will waive the charges for the university health insurance for you. Students are automatically billed for health insurance until you go in and waive the requirement. If you need to purchase the insurance, a little bit later in the presentation, I'll give you some further guidance on how to do that. You're not obligated to purchase the university insurance if you don't currently have it. There are other providers that you can certainly pursue. The bottom line is that we need you to have insurance and need to prove to us that you have insurance by September. Otherwise, the charges will remain on your account and you'll be responsible for purchasing the university insurance. And then finally on this slide, course registration. As new students in the summer, you're being registered after conversations with your success coach. If you're a first-year student, if you're a transfer student, you've had conversations with your advisor. And graduate students also having conversations with your advisor. Many of you are either being pre-registered right here on campus or have been able to register online. That's the trigger for all of these services that we're talking about today. Once you're registered, you will have access to all of the information that I'm talking about in this presentation. If you're not registered yet and you're viewing this presentation, be patient, because as soon as you're registered for classes, your role will change within the portal and you'll have access to all of these critical services. So the first thing is making sure that you can log in to the portal. And again, many of you are probably pretty good at this already because you've been accessing it for financial aid reasons, but just in case you haven't, you're going to want to set up your account as soon as possible. You'll be interacting with this portal pretty much every day as a student. So what you're seeing on the screen in front of you is a screenshot of the castleton.edu homepage. At the bottom of every page, you'll see in the footer a series of links. You're going to want to click on the VSC portal. VSC stands for Vermont State Colleges. Castleton University is a public university, part of the Vermont State College system, and we share an underlying system with our peer institutions in the state colleges. Once you click on that, it will take you to this landing page. Again, if you've already created your account, you'll simply just enter your username and password. Nothing will have changed. The good news is once you set up your account, it stays with you throughout your time at Castleton. You'll be periodically encouraged to change your password, like any online security feature, but you'll be able to do that all through a self-service function. If you're a new user, there's a tab right underneath the sign-in button where you can set up your account. The system will ask you a series of questions based on information that you put in your application, like with the city or town you were born in. We'll need portions of your social security number. And again, they'll ask you a series of security questions so that in the future, if you forget your password or during a reset time, you'll be able to do all of this through self-service. So again, remember, this is a different login from what you've been accustomed to for tracking your application through the admissions process. But once you set this up, it will remain with you throughout your time at Castleton. Once inside the portal, this is what it will look like once you've been registered for classes. So I do want to reiterate that, because as applicants, prior to being registered, your portal looked a lot different than this. But this will be what you see once you've been registered for classes. So just to give you a quick tour of what you're seeing on the screen, this is the desktop view of it. There's a Castleton app that you can download so that you can have access to this on your phone, which is a responsive design. And as I said, you'll be utilizing this pretty much daily. And the reason why is because of Canvas. And I'll draw your attention to the center of the screen for a moment. because most of your classes, your professors will be utilizing Canvas as a learning management system. Online courses obviously are run through Canvas, but many of our face-to-face and hybrid courses also utilize Canvas. Professors like the system to supplement their work. So it's a place to share resources. It's a place to view supplemental video. It's a place to drop off assignments. So many of your faculty, regardless of whether your course is online, face-to-face, or hybrid, will be utilizing Canvas. So that will be a reason for you to be interacting with this portal on a daily basis. You'll also see a calendar here, and the calendar will populate with your class schedule. We'll also pull in other important information around campus, so it's kind of a one-stop place to kind of organize your day and see what's happening in and around campus each day. And then on the right side, you'll see our self-service features, and that's where you'll have access to a lot of the things that were listed on the previous slide. As far as going in and registering for classes in future semesters, you'll be able to do all that on your own. This first time around, you're getting a lot of assistance from staff here on campus, but in the future, after you meet with your advisor and have your advising appointment, you'll be cleared to register online, and you'll be doing it right through this portal at your assigned time. You'll also be able to access all of our billing systems through the self-service portal. And down below, under web services, are a list of services that you can click around on. You can't screw anything up on this, so click around, see what's out there, see what's available to you. Something else to note here is that if you're going to have a work-study job on campus, you will also be entering your hours. You'll be accessing your W-4, your W-2 forms, all of the payroll and employment information that's needed to start a new job would all be accessible through the portal as well. And you'd be entering your hours through this system. So I promised you a little while ago that we'd talk a little bit about student privacy. This is a little bit more about FERPA. So again, this is a federal law. It's nothing unique to Castleton. And again, transfer students and graduate students, you've probably experienced this before. But for first-year students, excuse me, take some time to just read through this. It's on our website. This presentation will be available for the entire summer into early fall. And we're here as a resource. We have people here that can chat with you on the phone. We can set up Zoom meetings. We can set up face-to-face meetings when students arrive back on campus in the fall. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you have. These are the instructions. So again, if you missed some of that earlier on, these are the instructions, and these are available on our website as well. So now I want to run through the top 10 things that it's important for students and families to know about student accounts and how billing works at Castleton as it relates to some of these other services that we've been talking about. Number one, we don't send out paper bills. So much like your schedules, you'll just have electronic access to your bills 24/7. Billing is not automatically turned on at a specific time every year. Billing for the fall semester will be turned on later in June. So right now, depending on when you're viewing this video, you may or may not have access to your bill, because the timing of your bill is connected to when you're registered for classes. So if you're fully registered for classes and you're planning to live in the residence hall and you've submitted your online housing contract, then by the end of June, you should be able to view your bill online. If you're not fully registered, you may see a portion of the charges on your bill for the fall. So it's important to keep all these things in mind. And if you haven't submitted your housing contract yet and are planning to live on campus, you won't see the charges for housing on your bill. So that'll be important for you to make sure you follow through and do all of those documents to make sure that your bill is accurately reflecting what your experience will be at Castleton. So billing statements are updated a couple times a month. We encourage you to check your bill frequently because they can change throughout the semester. They can change throughout the summer, depending on adjustments you may make to your schedule. Certain classes may have lab fees associated with them. If you drop that course, then your bill drops. If you add a course with a lab fee, your bill may change. If you charge school supplies, textbooks, nursing uniforms, any sort of school-related supplies on your student account, that will change your bill. So it's important to check on this frequently. You'll get emails, students, anytime something happens with your bill, but you don't have to wait for that email to log into the system to check the status of it. And we'll get a little, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but students, you can identify an authorized user or more than one authorized user who can have the same access to this billing system and also receive automatic emails when there are changes to your account. Once you are in the portal, when you click on self-service for student account billing, this is what you'll see. There's two different tabs. There's a student and staff tab, and there's an authorized user tab. So students, initially you will click on the student tab, and you will log in using your same credentials that you have. It's the same username and password, so you don't need to keep track of different things. Just want to give you a quick tour of the suite while we're in here. So you'll see on the left side, there's a My Account tab. That's where you're going to see your current charges, okay? You'll be able to see an itemized list of all your charges when you click on that tab. It will show your tuition charges. It will show all of your fees. It will show your room and board charges. You will be able to see exactly what your semester charges are going to be. And please remember, the first time you view your bill, you're only seeing one semester's worth of charges. We bill by the semester, so you're not going to see the full costs that you may be accustomed to seeing when you viewed your financial aid award or when you've been on the Castleton website and looking at annual costs. We bill by the semester, so you're going to see roughly half of the charges that you've seen published in your financial aid eligibility letter and on our website. There's also a tab here for payment plans and authorized users. So again, you really can't screw up anything in here. So students, when you have access to this, my advice to you is to go in and play around and have one of your parents work with you if you want to just kind of learn the landscape here and see what's available to you. But those are the three things that I wanted to bring to your attention right now as functions: the My Account tab, the Payment Plan tab, and the Authorized User tab, because those are things that you'll be interacting with very frequently, especially as you transition to life as a student at Castleton. Authorized Users, it's a really, really nice feature for students, because again, if you have a spouse, significant other, parent, friend who's helping you with this, it's nice to have that support. You can identify those folks and set them up as authorized users. So students, you initiate the process by going in and clicking on the Authorized User tab. And it's as simple as clicking on Add an Authorized User. You'll put in that person's email address. The system will send that person an automated message giving them instructions on how to set themselves up as an authorized user so that they can then have the same access to this billing system that you do. They will get the same emails that you do sent to their email address of choice. And you're not just limited to one, you can have multiple authorized users. So again, a key takeaway from this presentation today is that as students, if that's important to you, please make sure that you set this up right away. The system is simple. All you have to do is identify the people you want as authorized users, put in their email address, and the system will send it. We offer three primary payment options. Obviously, direct payment on your student account is an option for many students. Number two, monthly payment plans are very popular, hence why I showed you the link in the billing system, because it is possible to be making payments right around the calendar year. You can set up 6-month payment plans depending on when you're registered for classes and when you see your bill for the first time. Let's say there's only 4 months or 5 months left in the semester at that point. You could double up your first couple of payments to get on track to fulfill the remaining installments over that 6-month plan. You may prefer a 4-month plan. You may prefer a 5-month plan. Those are all options that you can consider in the system. I want to take a quick moment to remind everyone that credit cards are not allowed in person. If you're wanting to use a credit card, you have to use it through the online billing system. We're not allowed to take credit cards in person anymore in the Financial and Registration Services Center as a Vermont State College system policy. And obviously, many students are using financial aid as a big portion of the means of paying their bill. And some students will utilize all three of these options. So they'll see what they're eligible for financial aid, and that will cover a portion of it. They may choose to do a payment plan for a portion of it, and then choose to pay off directly a portion of it. So the key thing is to start thinking about how you're going to handle these outstanding balances and come up with a plan so that by the end of August, everything is set up and you're ready to go for the beginning of classes. Bills are due before classes begin each semester. So for this upcoming academic year, that's August 4th. Again, we don't expect your balance to be completely paid by August 4th because many students are utilizing the payment plans. Many students are pursuing additional loans to help cover their bills. So the key thing is we want you to have a plan for paying the bills. So when we say August 4th, excuse me, we're really saying that we want you to have a plan and we want to know that you're confident in that plan. If you have outstanding balances after the semester is over, you won't be permitted to register for classes for the next semester, and a financial hold will be placed on your account. It's the last thing we really want to do. Trust me, we don't want to make life difficult for our students. So good communication is key. If you're working with us and we know that you're working on a plan, we will do everything in our power to work with you so that we don't have to resort to putting financial holds and preventing you from moving forward with your education. Same with late fees. We don't want to charge late fees, but again, for students that are late in making payments, not communicating with us, not telling us what's going on, late fees do automatically go on your account for any unpaid balances after October 1st. So there's plenty of time between early August and October 1st to come in and talk with our consultants, speak with financial aid to make sure everyone is on the same page and has a good plan for the bill for the fall. And when a financial hold is put on your account, and it will happen from time to time for various reasons, an alert will go on your portal. So students, you'll know right away, and you'll be able to come in and talk with someone and resolve it as quickly as possible. Submitting financial aid paperwork early is key. Many of you are already well on your way to completing the financial aid process for your first year. This is something, though, that gets repeated every year. Certainly, financial aid is a big part of many of our students' opportunity to pay for their education. So filling out the FAFSA is step one, making sure Castleton's code is on there. And again, that's not something that you just do the first year, you have to do it every year. So anytime after October 1st, each academic year, you can submit the FAFSA for the following year. Students who live in Vermont, VSAT grant applications are also an important part of being able to afford your education. So please make sure you're doing your VSAT grants and following the timelines set forth by VSAC for that important grant that can really help take a chunk out of your tuition each semester. We will send email notifications to you if you're missing any of your supplemental financial aid information. So after you've submitted the FAFSA, if you're selected for verification, as oftentimes many families are, it's a random process as identified by the federal processor. So it's not a reason to be alarmed if you're selected for verification, but there may be some additional forms that we need to finish your financial aid application. So that could be copies of tax transcripts, it could be copies of W-2s, it could be additional forms that are needed. There'll be a checklist within the portal for students to see. As those items come in, they will be checked off, so you'll know exactly what's still outstanding. And if you see a checklist with all the checks, I believe they're green, running down the list, you'll be all set, and you don't need to worry about anything more. If you have any red X's, there will be an explanation for what's needed, and oftentimes a link right next to the required document that you can go to and fulfill that requirement. Whether it's an online form, whether it's something you need to download, or whether it's a third-party site where you need to go and complete some information. The system will automatically update that as you complete those. Finally, as new students, if you've never borrowed before from the federal government, you're going to need to do loan entrance counseling, and you're going to need to do a master promissory note. If you're a transfer or graduate student, you may have done these things already, and you won't see those listed as outstanding items on your financial aid checklist. So students, those are important things to make sure that you're checking in on over the summer so that any financial aid that you have been awarded will come over to your account and will seamlessly transfer without any issues. Because if you don't do those steps or miss a step, it can prevent that financial aid that you're really depending on from coming over, and you'll be responsible for the amount that's not covered by that financial aid. It is initially going to show on your bill as anticipated. So when you look at your bill for the first time, you're going to see all of your charges listed out. They're going to be all itemized, right? And then you're going to see underneath that your anticipated financial aid. And again, it's called anticipated at this time because it actually hasn't come over and posted to your student account. And that's okay. It's normal for that to be this way. Financial aid won't actually post to your account until 2 weeks into the semester. And that's what we call the add drop period. And the reason why we don't post financial aid to your account right away is because during that add drop period, you can still make changes to your schedule. You can pick up an additional course. You could swap out a course. You could drop a course. And those are all reasons as to why your bill might change during those first couple of weeks. So after add drop is over, we will take a snapshot of everything that you're registered for, and those charges will be frozen at that point, and your financial aid will come over and post to your account. And again, that's assuming you've fulfilled all the requirements. You've done your loan entrance counseling, you've done your master promissory note, you've fulfilled all the items that are needed for verification. And again, this is going to be different for each student depending on where you've been and whether or not you've been selected for verification. Okay, so it's important to just check that frequently. And if after the add drop period is over, those first 2 weeks of the semester, if you still see anticipated next to your financial aid, then you're going to want to stop in to see Financial and Registration Services because there is something preventing that aid from coming over and posting to your account. Okay, so right now, anticipated is normal. But at 2 weeks into the semester, as we get into early September, if you still see anticipated, then you're going to want to make sure you stop and see us so that we can resolve the issue as quickly as possible. Some students are afforded refunds depending on their status. With students living on campus, very rarely is there a refund involved in your financial aid eligibility. But for many of our commuter students who may be looking to take out additional loans to help pay with living expenses such as rent, food, other school-related expenses, you may be borrowing more than you really need to cover your tuition and fees. And in that case, you would be issued the refund, and that money will go to you as a paper check, or the preference would be that you sign up for direct deposit. And you will receive those funds, and at that point, they're your funds to do with as you please. For students who are owed a refund due to a Parent Plus loan, parents, it's important to note that those refunds will go to the student unless you otherwise note it that you want them to go to you. So for families where the Parent Plus loan results in the overage on the student account, it's important to have that conversation with your student to know that that refund will be issued to the student unless you indicate to us that you wish it to go to yourself. And refunds are issued in mid-September. But again, just to clarify, most residential students living on campus with meal plans and full room and board charges very rarely are seeing refunds. The refunds are typically more for students who are intentionally borrowing more to help cover with associated expenses of attending college. We talked about the monthly payment plan, but just to give you a little more detail on that, when you're in self-service within the billing suite, you click on the payment plan tab, and it will give you the following options. And anytime now, once you're registered for classes and your bill is set, you can set up a payment plan. It is a real-time payment plan. So one thing to remember is that if something changes on your bill after you set up a payment plan, it will automatically increase or decrease your monthly payment. So it's important to note that. If you're planning to make purchases or make adjustments to your schedule that could result in changing your bill, it will result in changing that monthly payment plan. So as long as you're comfortable with that, that's okay. But if you feel there's going to be significant changes, you may want to wait a little while to set up that payment plan until things are more settled with your bill. And you can repeat this all over again for the spring semester. We start the spring payment plans on December 1st when the spring semester billing process gets underway. So that's why we say technically you can be making payments to the university year-round. Because if you do a 6-month payment plan for fall and do a 6-month payment plan for spring, you can spread those payments out evenly over the year. This is another screenshot with a little more information. And again, someone can walk through this with you if you want to give us a call in Financial and Registration Services. But it's pretty self-explanatory. So again, you can't mess up anything, so get in there. Families, if your students have set you up as authorized users, go in there, check things out, and it's pretty intuitive. But if you do have questions, don't hesitate to let us know. Going back to health insurance, again, I just want to reiterate this as a key takeaway, because what's unfortunate is every year, as hard as we try, there's always a few students who end up paying for student health insurance when they don't need it. So it's another thing to take away from this, is to just get it done right away during the summer. Go ahead and go in and do that waiver. If you don't need the insurance, the charges will be reversed. You'll see the credit on your bill, and you'll be all set. If you do need the insurance, as some of our students do, we will work with you to opt in to the insurance. There's additional paperwork that you'll need to fill out. It's not simply not doing the waiver online. You have to come into Financial and Registration Services, and someone will help you get enrolled in the program, explain the benefits to you and when they'll be available to you. So please, if you do need the insurance, take that additional step. Don't assume that you're going to have it automatically. But don't be alarmed for the first time when you look at your bill. You will see that there are charges for insurance there by default. And until you go in and do the waiver form, those will remain there, but a credit will be issued when you do the waiver. And the due date for this is September 30th. And again, to reiterate, if you don't do the waiver form, you're going to be automatically charged for the insurance, and there's nothing we can do about it after September 30th. So please take care of this as soon as possible. Finally, the 10th item on the list is, as a courtesy, we allow students to charge textbooks and school-related supplies to their account. So when you're arriving for orientation in the fall, or if you live locally and are able to come over to campus before then, you can charge your textbooks to your student account, whether it's a rental program, purchasing new or used textbooks, or purchasing school-related supplies. I always use the nursing program as an example. So scrubs, nursing shoes, things that are required for your degree. You can purchase those through our store and have them put on your account, which enables you to put them into your payment plan. It enables you to include them in any additional loans you may be pursuing to cover your bill. So that's a convenience that we extend to our students. It's not for all purchases in the store. It's only school-related supplies. And for most students, that's textbooks only. Okay. It's a very simple process. You just show your ID and a copy of your class schedule, and our helpful university store staff will help you locate your books. And you don't have to purchase your books from the university store. However, we do have a variety of options. As I mentioned, you can rent, you can buy used, you can buy new, but you're welcome to shop for your textbooks wherever. And professors are usually flexible through the first week or so. So it may be to your advantage to find out from a professor, making sure that you have the right edition and that you're not purchasing the wrong textbook before classes start. So this is a summary checklist that I just want to run down. It really, really highlights the key takeaways from this presentation. And again, I realize this is a lot. You can watch this over and over again, although I'm not so sure how exciting I am at this. But we're here for you. The bottom line is our offices are open. We want to work with you through this. This is a helpful tool so that you can view this information at your leisure, but we realize that this is going to generate a lot of questions, and we want you to get those questions answered as soon as possible. So please don't hesitate to reach out. But to run through the summary checklist, number one, confirm that students that you can access the portal. Make sure you have your username and password. If you've shared that information with your parents, it's time now for you to take ownership of that and make sure that you know that information and you're regularly checking your portal. Students, complete your FERPA release as soon as possible. Once you're registered for classes, you will have access to that and you can take care of that. That's a one and done, and you're all set for the rest of your time here at Castleton. Setting up authorized users. If that's important to you and your family, please make sure that you do that as soon as possible. Complete the online health insurance selection form, making sure that you're not going to be charged for health insurance that you don't need. Monitor your Castleton email account regularly. This is something that I didn't mention in the presentation, but very important. You've been receiving emails to the email address you provided on your application. Shortly after registration, you're going to be assigned a Castleton email account. And from that point forward, we're going to be communicating with you through your Castleton email account. Now you can forward that to an email address of your choice, but it's important to note that you will be getting official communications through your Castleton email account and through the portal going forward after registration occurs. And there's a great checklist on our website called the Student Success Checklist. It's on the financial aid homepage. I highly recommend that you check that out. It'll help you with making sure everything in your financial aid file is complete. And it just ensures for a smooth transition during your first semester. The bottom line is, please know that we're here for you. We know that this can be very confusing, especially if this is your first time, students and parents. If this is your first time going through this, it can be a little overwhelming at times, but don't let it get to you. Just contact us. We can walk you through it. We're here to help you and to take away some of that stress. The bottom line, I just want to reiterate, is good communication. If we know you're trying, we're going to work with you and make sure that your first experience at Castleton is a success. And once you do it the first time, it just becomes easier each time after that. So on the screen here is a way to contact our Financial and Registration Services Center. I'm available as well. My information can be found on the website. I'm happy to chat with anyone individually or point you in the right direction so that you can get all your questions answered. I hope this presentation has been helpful, and I really look forward to welcoming you all to campus in just a few months. Have a great summer.